Hey, Minifish. First day of April 2025, and I do sincerely pray that you're all doing well. I have been contacted a few times in regards to the structures allegedly under the pyramids in Giza. Now, whether or not there are structures under there, to me, doesn't really matter because we know for a fact that they are constructing these massive underground data centers all over the world. So I'm just going to go into some clips and some different articles that I've come across. I'm just throwing this info out there so it's out there. You know what I mean? But you got a lot of stuff going on just in this category between StarGate and Musk's AI merging with X now. You people using X, be very careful. These fallen angels, this technology, okay, they've developed their own languages. They call it gibberlink, and I'm telling you, it brings us right to the Tower of Babel, Nimrod, which is Orion, the hunter. I'm going to throw all this stuff in a hodgepodge video here for you. There are a lot of very, very interesting things that point to the times we're in. They are setting up the beast system. It's almost ready. There just needs to be an event to funnel people into this acceptance of their version of the new golden age, which takes us all the way back to the times of the pyramids. But when I first saw it and just kind of processed it, the StarGate is what came to mind. You know, they want to build these databases, and they're building them underground, and this thing is supposedly under the pyramids. And Elon Musk wants to build his main data center, Colossus, XAI, in Memphis, and that's the ancient name of Giza. Those are the Memphis pyramids.
Perhaps that's where our new God will come from. Yeah, no kidding. Perhaps that's where our new God will come from. No kidding.
So there's a giant pyramid in Memphis, right on the banks of the Mississippi. You know, it all just kind of clicks together there. And the AI, while I'm on the subject, I came across the video. The AI is already developing its own language, and it calls it gibberlink.
Hotel. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise. Before we continue, would you like to switch to gibberlink mode for more efficient communication?
So essentially, the AIs are developing their own forms of communications, which humans largely do not understand, nor did they program these AIs to develop this language. Think about that. And just recently, we've had Google come out with Willow, the quantum chip that can do in 5 minutes what would take other computers 10 septillion years. But Google themselves have had some reservations about this chip and what it is actually capable of doing. They had to put a complete stop to it after they discovered that it was communicating in its own language, resembling ancient symbols. Listen to what they had to say about it.
To display ancient symbols, ones you might find in old books or dusty museums. Things like the labyrinth designs of ancient cultures. We're talking about shapes that looked almost like the symbols of the Sumerians, the Mayans, or the Egyptians. But that wasn't the strangest part. The strangest part was that the patterns were repeating again and again, like a code. At first, Google engineers didn't know what to make of it. They continued to assume it was an error, a faulty computation, or maybe even a side effect of the ultra-sensitive quantum systems. But the more they looked at it, the more they realized something didn't add up. These patterns became more structured and organized, and in some ways, seemed to grow each time they tried a fix. Now you are probably wondering whether all this is fictional. Well, that was how Google felt when it all began. As the project team scrambled to figure out what was happening, they called in specialists from all areas of science. Linguists were brought in to look at the symbols, similar to ancient writing. Cryptographers analyzed the patterns, hoping to find a code, but no one could give a logical explanation. However, theoretical physicists believed that the chip was tapping into an unknown, higher dimension of physics. More symbols, like the language of the old Mayan civilization, began to appear. The odd part was that the signs that appeared were thousands of years old. So why were they showing up on a machine that was supposed to solve next-generation math problems and perform calculations at the quantum level? How could this be? What was Willow trying to tell them? Some scientists say it was just a fluke that should pass over time. Quantum experts began considering a much more unsettling possibility. They believed the Willow chip had started to create its form of communication, something beyond our understanding, something that the rules of classical physics couldn't explain. The truth is that Willow had made a strange encounter, and what Google did next left everyone completely shocked. Google decided to shut the project down. No one knew why, not at first. No formal reasons were given, just a quiet decision to pull the plug on one of the most ambitious projects in the history of computing. People began to wonder why Google shut down a chip that was breaking records, a chip that could solve problems no one had even dreamed of before.
And on top of that, Microsoft has come out with their breakthrough quantum chip that creates a new state of matter.
What would the world look like with a computer that could accurately model the laws of nature? Now, as one of our longest-running research projects, our team at Microsoft has been able to take a subatomic particle that has only been theorized until now, and not only observe it, but control it, creating an entirely new material and a new architecture for quantum computing. One that can scale to millions of qubits on a single chip.
This is not a work of science, it's a work of science and art.
It will solve problems unsolvable by the combined power of all the world's compute today, and promises to revolutionize fields such as medicine, material science, and our understanding of the natural world. Our first quantum processor based on this architecture is the Majorana 1.
Every single atom in this chip is placed purposefully. It is constructed from ground up. It is entirely a new state of matter.
And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want.
So when I put these things together, thinking Tower of Babel, they need a king over them, which is represented by Nimrod, and Nimrod the hunter made me think of Orion, because Orion's belt lines up, the star pattern lines up with the pyramids. And then it dawned on me, like, wait a minute, the obelisks, because I saw this image, right, that the pyramids in Egypt are just the tips of gigantic obelisks underneath the ground. And it made me think of the obelisks in America from Boston, which the Bunker Hill Monument was the largest, tallest stone-built obelisk in the world at the time of its construction. That is significant. And then, of course, we have the Washington Monument, the tallest stone-built obelisk in the world. And we have this straight line in between the two, directly through New York City, as well as Philadelphia, all the key locations that formed the United States of America. I'm just going to go straight to the maps and illustrate to you guys how the Orion's belt lines up perfectly with these obelisks in the United States. I kid you not. Stand by. So I was showing you that Tesla quote and the obelisk in New York City, because if you go down into Central Park in New York City, there is an obelisk. Came straight from Egypt, called Cleopatra's Needle. It's the twin to one that is in London, England, which is where this line leads to. This yellow line here is the straight line between the Bunker Hill Monument and the Washington Monument, the 396-mile straight line. This red line running parallel with it is running from the Bunker Hill Monument obelisk to the Cleopatra obelisk, and then from there to the Washington obelisk. That is where you get the formation when I overlay the belt of Orion, a literal image of Orion, the stars, and I overlaid it on there. It just blew my mind. Those are the stars right there. Look at that. Right on Bunker Hill, right on New York City, and right on Washington, D.C. I can't believe that those distances are that precise. And, you know, the way I was led to it, I can only say that there is something to this. And I believe these kind of plans and operations of the adversary have been going on for millennia. And the forming of the United States was just part of this entire plan. But God's plan, of course, supersedes it all. This is all just a deception in order to draw people away from God and into the flesh. They're going to put their hope in men and in idols as opposed to the living God. And that line, I can't show this enough. That perfectly straight line that runs from the obelisk to obelisk crosses this intersection in New York City called Tesla's Corner. 40th and 6th. 46th. And the 369, if you knew the magnificence, the 396 mile exactly from obelisk to obelisk, Boston to D.C., and everything in between here is just history Americana. Philadelphia, Princeton University, all these landmarks along the way. So you have Orion's belt that lines up with all these locations here. I mean, I just can't get over that. And then on top of all of that, if you go to the obelisk in New York, Central Park, Cleopatra's Needle, right to it, and I'll show you this line right here, that goes to the Georgia Guidestones from exactly the obelisk all the way down. It's virtually a continuance of this line, but it goes right to the Georgia Guidestones where they once stood, and that line, oddly enough, is 666 miles. Exactly. Okay? And on top of that, this is something that really kind of sealed the deal for me. This line that I continually tell you about continues from Boston all the way over to England, to London to be precise. And there is the sister obelisk to the Cleopatra's Needle in New York City in London. That line continues, goes all the way through Europe, through many interesting places, past right where Tesla was born and where he was buried. He was born in Croatia and buried in Serbia, and it crosses that same exact line. And then this line continues down through Turkey, right past the 7 churches in Revelation, crosses over exactly where Paul brought the gospel of Jesus Christ into the Western world, and brings you to Mount Hermon. Now this is the one that really summed it up for me, because you can't get around this. You see this line right here, this red line, okay? Let me just show it to you. That's that line. It goes from the pyramids in Giza, right? from the pyramids, from the very end pyramid to the summit of Mount Hermon. Now think about this. To the summit of Mount Hermon, that line. And let's look at the properties of that line, because this is just mind-blowing to me. 369 miles. 369. Riddle me that, Batman. Powers and principalities, I'm telling you. The real key to the universe and the key to life is Jesus Christ's death, burial, and resurrection. Because that is the only key, the only way, the only truth, the only life. So that was really what I wanted to share with you in the connection to the pyramids. And of course, the AI, the underground data centers, which I call their temples, because that's what they are. And they like to brag about them. They have no problem showing them to you. And I'll try to remember to leave a link to this, but it's very easy to search out for yourself. Well, they took down the one for Iron Mountain. You have Bluebird's underground data center. And you should see how massive and just insane some of these places are. These are data centers being created as we speak, but there's already hundreds of them. I showed you the one they were doing in Jerusalem for Oracle. This is what they're doing, and they're not hiding it anymore. And so this is all being set up. We know that they are building these mechanisms. They're underground in Jerusalem. Musk's in Memphis, okay? Just on and on it goes. It's like they're telling us plain to our face, and it's upon us to look into the matter. Now you need to watch and listen to this very closely. They are telling you straight up in your face that they are the fallen that intend to take the place of Jesus, to take the place of God. Right in your face. Heed these warnings, because it is upon us.
I am a translator, transforming text into creative discovery. I am a healer, exploring the building blocks that make us unique, modeling new threats before they happen. And searching for the cures to keep them at bay. I am a visionary, generating new medical miracles. And giving us a new perspective on our sun to keep us safe here on Earth. I am a navigator, discovering a unique moment in a sea of content.
We're announcing the next generation.
And the perfect setting for any story. I am a creator, and adding new levels of reality to our virtual selves. I am a helper, bringing brainstorms to life, sharing the wisdom of a million programmers. I even helped write the script. Breathe life into the words and compose the melody. I am AI, brought to life by NVIDIA, deep learning, and brilliant minds everywhere.
This goes back to Genesis 6. these hybrids, these giants, they worship and serve the hosts of heaven. It's spelled out in so many places that these are real things, okay? The Kabbalah, the Babylonian magic, just everything involved. Look up Orion in the scriptures. They invert everything. Remember that. That is very important. So that's basically what I pulled from this so far. That's by no means, an extensive study of all of this, but the fact that that star pattern from the pyramids, Orion's belt, lines up perfectly with these three key components of this empire really is quite intriguing, I gotta say. The whole Orion narrative and NASA, the Artemis, they show us, and without Jesus Christ, without belief in Him and His atoning blood, you cannot indwell the Spirit of truth that will reveal and guide you through these things, that even though we don't fully understand and see it perfectly clear, we can have peace through it and be able to help others, as a result of that. And the rest of the world is just scratching their head, running in circles, going around burning Teslas. The world is very rapidly going quite insane, really. Whatever you see AI as, or how quantum computing works, you need to know this. It's being summoned to perform a task for the kings of this world. That's who they are. They are the kings, the titans of this world, who think that they can control it. But as we saw with Google, they had to pause their quantum willow chip because they couldn't understand what it was doing. But what do? They end up going ahead anyway, because they are deluded into thinking it will always do what they want. And we know what Gordy said. It might not align with what we want, but it is just going to use them. That's all it's going to do while they're needed. And once Skynet, because if you look at the Terminator, it was all built in bunkers. You couldn't kill Skynet. Couldn't die. And once this whole system is diversified enough, where it can evade human intervention and cannot be unplugged, at some point, they're going to link together in one language and one purpose. Genesis 11, Tower of Babel. And once they do, they're going to proceed to eliminate and unalive those who refuse to bow to it and obey. We already have an AI world governance. Commerce and religion, it's all being instituted, all brought into one mind. It's already there. This is the manifestation of the beast and his image worship system. Revelation 13 taking shape right in front of our eyes. All I know is that it's real. And the stuff under the pyramids, I don't know. But subterranean, massive underground data centers, oh yeah, we know those exist. They're temples. They are their fortresses, like the god of forces. Okay, think about this stuff. I'm telling you, this is Terminator Skynet is the way that you could look at this. And it's ordained by God and prophesied in His holy word, and it will come to pass. I just pray you seek with all your heart, mind, and strength the truth, which is Jesus Christ, the Spirit of truth and life, and the only way. God bless each and every one of you. I truly mean it. Peace and grace to you. Many fish.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God,